Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be talking about none other than Traces of Two Pasts, a Final Fantasy VII novel. Now before I actually get into the video, there is some spoiler stuff regarding Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because there is some stuff in here that's in the demo. So if you don't want to be spoiled with any sort of story elements of the original game or the remake or Rebirth, please turn away now. So you've been warned. So without further ado, let's get right into this novel. So what is this novel about and why do I like it so much? So this novel is about, as you can tell, it's a story about Tifa and also Aerith. But there is other characters that are mentioned, for example, Cloud and stuff. And also the main cast of Final Fantasy VII is mentioned because it's basically a telling of Tifa's past and also Aerith's past. And Tifa's past is told whilst she's talking to Aerith, whilst they're having a little walk, whilst the rest of the actual cast is there as well. So it's really good the way they've done it. So as soon as the story starts and they set the tone, straight away I was right back into Final Fantasy VII, the OG. Honestly, like some of the locations, some of the mentions of locations and things that actually take place, it took me right back to the slums, Sector 7, Sector 8, Sector 6, all that kind of stuff, and also the Shinra building when it comes to Aerith's story. So both these stories are unique, and the best thing about the story for me, for myself, was that I kind of forgot the backstory to Tifa. There wasn't much of it in the original, and even Aerith, even though it is mentioned, it's kind of vague in my head because I haven't dabbled in Final Fantasy VII, the original, in such a long time, and the remake doesn't really go back and tell you much about Aerith's story, even though there is a little flashback or something in the remake, and also it doesn't give you really an in-depth story about Tifa and how she became the character that she is and the character that we love today. So it goes into real depth with both of these characters. So I'm going to start off with Tifa's character. Honestly, the things that she goes through, it just makes you realize that she is a phenomenal character, and I can't actually wait to use her in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because of reading this book. Also Aerith as well. I mean, both these characters are solid characters, and I do wish that they do more books like this, especially for like Vincent Valentine. Also, I'll go as far as to say that they can actually make a visual novel for both of these characters in the form of this book, because it's written that well. It'll go really well if they made either some DLC or a visual novel, a separate visual novel for this book. It'll do really well because it's really, really well written. The characters are awesome, like Tifa's father. It gives you a little insight into his character. Zangan, obviously Tifa's master, who is actually in the remake, in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, sorry, he's in the demo. I saw him, and the character design is awesome, exactly how I would have pictured him from the book. So they nailed that. There's a lot of stuff that's in this book that's going to be in Rebirth, but you'll be well versed if you read the book first. That's the reason why I'm telling you guys, I can't stress it enough, if you haven't picked this book up before you play Rebirth, try to get it. I know there's not much time left, and it's taken me a long time to actually make this video. I've had this book for quite a while. I've had it since the beginning of this year, but it is what it is. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the book and why I think you should get this book and why it's going to benefit you. So the reason why it's going to benefit you is because a lot of the stuff that's happening in this book may be shown in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. With this book, I really enjoyed my time with it. I will go through some of the passages so you can actually, pause it and have a little read if my camera is good enough. But like I mentioned, it's one of those stories that is really compelling, really well thought out, really well written. And as soon as I'd read the book, I was like, wow, I was blown away. And I'm not going to lie, the story of Aerith really brought tears to my eyes. And even some things that happened to Tifa. Like, I didn't know half the stuff that happens to Tifa until I read this book. I mean, that's why I'm saying you could actually make a game out of this book, because there's so much things that happen and so much things that Tifa had to do, especially after all the stuff that happened with Nibelheim being burnt down by Sephiroth. And she was basically broke. She had no money. She had lost her mother. Her father's gone now. And she had to do it all on her own. And certain things happened to her. And she was swindled into, there's just, without spoiling the story, there's just so much things that happened to her. and bless her heart, she just didn't give up. And it's a story that makes you think about real life, that in life sometimes we think, we feel like giving up and stuff because, come on, let's admit it, times are hard and things are only getting worse. But after reading this, it's like, even in the darkest of times and your most darkest hour, if you have that willpower, you can survive. And her master actually helped her hone her skills to actually survive. So that was really good to see. Sorry if I'm spoiling this for you guys, but I don't mean to. It's just I'm giving you some. I'm just giving you an in-depth look at the actual story, so you know what you're actually missing out on. As you can see, like if you read some of it from here, right, you can tell straight away that you're in for a good read, and that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to entice you into buying the actual book itself. It's not actually a long book, to be fair. I mean, what is it? Let's see. I think it's got something like 373 pages. That's not a long book. I mean, I've read like 8, 9 to 1,000 pages in like a day and a half. This didn't take me long. I took my time with it. I could have probably read it in about 4 hours easily, but I chose to take my time with it, and it took me about 6, 7 hours. A really good read. I'm actually going through it again because it's that good of a read, and I've not even that long read it, to be honest with you. So I'm really trying to get into it. I'll be honest, Tifa's story is more in depth. Aerith's story is good as well. Gives you a lot more backstory and a lot more knowledge about the ancients and stuff. But with Tifa's story, it just felt like it was more hardcore in the sense that how she actually had to survive because she had nobody, and she managed to persevere and do what she had to do to become the character that she became in the end. And then when you go to Aerith's story, I mean, it is sad. It's really, really sad. Some of the things that happened to Aerith and the things that carry on happening to her all the way up until, that scene. So we don't know actually what's going to happen to her in Rebirth. I'm guessing she might actually survive. Tifa might die. Who knows what they're going to do. I totally want you guys to read this book. It's one of those books that, trust me, you will thank me for. I don't really do videos like this. When it comes to Final Fantasy 7, and if there is a book or any sort of movie like Advent Children or something, then I have to talk about it, I guess. Sorry if I'm very vague. I don't really want to spoil the story for you either, because it is a story that should be, you should take time out to read it and really enjoy it. It's one of those books. It's one of those books that you will enjoy. And even if you're not a hardcore Final Fantasy 7 fan and you want a good book to read about two characters that you don't even know, trust me, you won't be let down. I mean, it's only 18 quid on Amazon at the moment, or it might be 20 actually. The only downside to this book for myself is that it's a hardback. I couldn't actually get a paperback. I don't think they do one, but I don't like hardback books. I prefer paperbacks. It's just easy to read. Like, I had to read this while sitting here. I don't like, holding a book it's kind of heavy as well. It's got quite a bit of heft to it. So this is my second read through. I've really enjoyed it, guys. I definitely, like I'll keep saying, I've mentioned it a few times, totally recommend it to any hardcore Final Fantasy 7 fan. And even if you're just a casual Final Fantasy 7 fan, definitely still pick it up. And even if you haven't read anything about Final Fantasy 7, or if you don't even know about Final Fantasy 7, I'd still recommend this book to you because it's a really good read. The way it's written and the way the characters are portrayed, the backstory and stuff, it really might intrigue you to actually play Final Fantasy 7, maybe the original or even the remake or even Rebirth. Some other honorable mentions are The Legend of Final Fantasy 7, but this one is a little bit controversial because I've heard some of the stuff that's in this book is not canon. Now, I'm not 100% sure. You guys let me know if it is or not. But I'll make a separate video on this book as well. A real good read. It's got some really good stuff in this. I'm not going to spoil this one. I'm going to wait and show you this book at a different time. Also, there's Final Fantasy 7 On the Way to a Smile. This was about the orphan children after Advent Children. So both these books were written by the same person. So they are really well written and the stories are really good, and you come across all the characters in this book as well, so definitely pick this up. So that being said, guys, I really appreciate your comments down below. If you have read this book, please let me know. Please let me know what you think, and if there's anything that I missed, please write in the comments down below. Also, do leave me a like, and if you haven't subscribed, guys, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton, and there'll be more videos on the way soon. Please take care, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.